Trick or treat, Formula One and Indycar fans. Today is Halloween 2020. As you have just heard, most of you in the news by now, that one of the greatest cinematic actors to grace the silver screen, Sir Sean Connery, passed away today. He was 90 after being ill for some time, sleeping in his home in the Bahamas with his family by his side. And as you know, he was most famous for portraying Bond, James Bond, a total of 6 times officially and then 1 time unofficially. And in his 3rd and 4th outing as 007, he would drive this car, an Aston Martin DB5 with gadgets, which made the James Bond series very popular indeed. And my compliments to Auto Art Models for making this beautiful model of the DB5, driven by the super spy himself. But naturally, there's more to this day than representing the world of James Bond that made Sean Connery very popular, because we all know that he has done his share of doing other films before, during, and after his time as James Bond, especially portraying the role of Professor Henry Jones Sr. in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. But as you can imagine, with this entire year sucking because of the pandemic in 2020, and losing a lot of other good names like Eddie Van Halen and so on and so forth, one thing's for sure about this year, as Sean Connery would put it, this is intolerable. This is intolerable! With that said, let us pause for a moment of silence to honor Sean Connery, and then I'll get on with my review of the IndyCar season finale and the Portuguese Grand Prix. Gone, but never forgotten are you, Mr. Connery. We miss you, and to think I actually learned about Sean Connery first from Indiana Jones before I even knew about James Bond, and I couldn't even recognize him between him and there, and I thought, oh my god, no wonder people saw him as sexy, because when he plays a grandpa-looking Henry Jones Sr., I don't see how he was sexy in that one. Well, at that time, of course. But what a combination. Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, when there was only a 12-year gap between them in age. But, hey, who better than Connery to play the role of Indiana Jones' dad? Should have won an Oscar for that one. But he would in The Untouchables in 1987, well, for Best Supporting Actor, that is. Once again, my sympathies to the family of Mr. Connery, and no doubt the world of James Bond is crushed. Even Calvin Dyson, big-time YouTube James Bond reviewer. Hey Calvin, if you're watching this, I saw your reaction video a few minutes ago as well. Not exactly the kind of news I wanted to wake up to this morning, but I knew it had to be addressed. And with Aston Martin replacing the name for Racing Point next year in Formula One, if they can win at least one race this year, well, wouldn't that be one way to honor Sean Connery's memory, as well as the world of James Bond in total, since Aston Martin and James Bond are very interrelated and integrated with each other, even though not every person who's portrayed James Bond has driven an Aston. Preferably Roger Moore is the only Bond actor who didn't. Well, finally, a little Mountain Dew, shaken not stirred, to honor the Scotsman. Yep. And they thought by drinking the Holy Grail he'd live forever. Apparently that didn't last very well, did it? But we know one thing, at least Sean Connery, he found illumination. That's all I know. Now on to the review of the Portuguese Grand Prix and the IndyCar season finale in St. Petersburg, Florida. For starters, well, once again, Lewis Hamilton did take the pole by 1/10 of a second over his Mercedes teammate Valtteri Bottas, and at one point, when he had to pit, guess who took the lead besides Bottas? Carlos Sainz Jr. for at least 5 to 6 laps in the race. What? But interestingly enough, on the first few corners of the first lap, Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen had a little tangle, and boy, wasn't that bizarre. Shown here.
Daniel Ricciardo, and Perez gets hit by Max Verstappen and goes across the track.
As for his Canadian teammate Lance Stroll, he would retire later on with collision damage, the only driver out of the race. As for Lewis Hamilton, he ultimately got the lead back and wouldn't let go, leading on to eclipsed Michael Schumacher as the winningest driver in Formula 1 with 92 wins to his tally. Already he starts second in tomorrow's race in San Marino GP, which is to substitute for what should have been the Mexican Grand Prix tomorrow, but because of the pandemic that's been cancelled. And it's a shame because November 1st is Day of the Dead in Mexico, a very festive event for those who don't know. Unless you've seen the movie Coco or the James Bond thriller Spectre, Day of the Dead is prominently shown in those movies. And coincidentally enough, tomorrow's my birthday. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but it's just a fun fact, and what a festive event it would have been. A very big fiesta to watch the Mexican Grand Prix with the Scuderia Ferrari Club of Philly on my birthday. But still, at least we get a good substitute, even if I have to get up early for it tomorrow, but if you want to see it live, is for the first time since 2006, Formula 1 returns to San Marino, which was last won by Michael Schumacher with Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton starts second, and his teammate Valtteri Bottas just barely beat him to the pole. And Max Verstappen starts third. Boy, are we seeing a pattern with those starts, indeed. Which reminds me, to get back to Portugal, the first four starters, which was Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, and Leclerc, they finished where they started. As for Sergio Perez, who spun out after that tangle, he may have got pushed all the way back to last, but the fact he came back to finish 7th was nothing short of a miracle. In other F1 news, when I said that Mick Schumacher might consider going to the Alfa Romeo team, or like what might happen to Antonio Giovinazzi, well, it's been confirmed that, unfortunately, as for Mick, we don't know where he's going yet, but Antonio Giovinazzi, along with Kimi Räikkönen, will have their seats secure at Alfa Romeo for 2021. In Indycar news, to get on with the St. Pete GP, well, it was quite a start for Will Power. Unfortunately, he ended up stuffing into the wall later on. And at one hilarious point, the Spaniard Oriol Servia, who was driving the pace car, he missed his mark at one point, and somehow the pace car ran out of fuel under one yellow. Isn't that amazing? You'd think, how could the pace car be out of fuel? As for Oliver Askew, in his final race for the Arrowsmith-Peterson McLaren team, well, I should ask you, Oliver, how did you end up stuffing it in the wall? Well, at least it puts you out of your misery with the team. And with Felix Rosenqvist to replace him at the team next year, well, his teammate, Mexico's Patricio Ward, he finished second in the race. After being Rookie of the Year in the Indy 500, while Rinus VK at Ed Carpenter Racing, despite tangling with Scott McLaughlin at Penske in the race, would finish Rookie of the Year winner for the IndyCar Series. Congratulations, you two, on your Rookie of the Year accomplishments in your own special way. And let's see how Rinus and Pato will fare in 2021. By the same token, it was interesting to see that Andretti Autosport seemed to have a comeback after a very dismal season, with only one win to their credit at Mid-Ohio, making it a 1-2-3 podium sweep. I thought it might be possible that 15 years later, Andretti could sweep the podium again at St. Pete. Unfortunately, one by one, it came undone for Alexander Rossi, Colton Herta, and James Hinchcliffe. Like Rossi, while in the lead, lost control and hit the wall. And James Hinchcliffe later on kind of spun under yellow and accidentally took out his semi-teammate Jack Harvey trying to get back on the track, causing him damage to be out. Ugh. Yeah. That's gotta suck for the Canadian, eh? And you know, it's funny now that you just saw John Candy there, because not only is it sad that today we lost Sean Connery, but today marks what should have been John Candy's 70th birthday, and I'm a big fan of John Candy after the Three Stooges, my all-time favorite comedian, you could say. Yeah, so to John Candy's family, I say, hello, John's family. I wish your man the happiest of birthdays in heaven, and he'll be missed, and still love him even to this day. To get back to the third potential for winning, Colton Herta, well, at one point during the race he missed a corner and had to spin around and lost a lot of spots. Ryan Hunter-Reay was the best of the team effort and finished 5th.
Where's Marcus?
Marcus Ericsson finished 7th in the race.
Felix Rosenqvist, his teammate, who is now leaving for McLaren next year, finished 18th, and their big teammate, Scott Dixon, finished 3rd. As for who won the race, well, it is said at last, the Penske is mightier than the sword, and it was another win by Joseph Newgarden. For anti-Penske fans like you and me, it's a pie in the face for us all once again. Joseph Newgarden won the race, but it wasn't enough to take his 3rd title. Scott Dixon's 3rd place in the PNC Bank Honda was just too close to keep Newgarden from taking the points lead. Congratulations, Scott Dixon, with your PNC Bank car, sealing the deal to make you a 6-time IndyCar champion. Take that to the bank and cash it. Oh, that's music to our ears, seeing you being so successful, Scott. I wish you luck next year, among other drivers. And as for who's going to replace Dixon's teammate Felix Rosenqvist at Ganassi, you ask, surprise, surprise, it's the Spaniard Alex Palou of Spain going from Dale Coyne to Ganassi Racing. Oh! Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Alex Palou is going to Ganassi to join up with Marcus Ericsson and Scott Dixon. And by the same token, Jimmy Johnson will drive on the street and road courses for the team, while Tony Kanaan will drive the number 48 on the oval courses. I just wish Jimmy Johnson would reconsider and go oval racing for the sake of trying the Indy 500, because now that would be something. Alex Palou will drive the number 10 car, while it will be joint ventured between Kanaan and Johnson for number 48. And number 8 will still go to Marcus Ericsson, and Scott Dixon will hold his infamous number 9 at Ganassi. In other news, in NASCAR racing, remember this? And how back in April, during an I-race, how Kyle Larson got himself in big trouble by dropping the N-bomb and got fired from Ganassi? Well, for those who didn't know this, even though I don't follow NASCAR that much, it can be said he may have gone from sacked at Ganassi to driving the number 5 stock car for Rick Hendrick Motor Racing next season. Isn't that amazing? He's coming back for Rick Hendrick Motorsport in number 5 since Casey Kane last drove it. Let's just hope that he can be met with welcome arms and not so much backlash, as he's now been reinstated for NASCAR for 2021. Well, as you can imagine now, the checkered flag has fallen. The IndyCar season for 2020 is over, and thank God it is, because it wasn't the best of seasons, because the pandemic has wrecked a lot of things for us all. And with Halloween today, be careful with your kids as they go about, if you're going trick-or-treating, along with the pandemic. Between them and the pandemic, we're all running amok. So tune in tomorrow on ESPN2 at 7 a.m. Eastern Time for the San Marino GP. Can Bottas actually beat Hamilton and hold him off for eventual wins, or will Hamilton maintain his dominant streak and pull away for his 7th Formula One World Championship? If you like my videos, click the link below to subscribe to my channel Formula Pun Racer, and let's see what happens in Formula One tomorrow on November 1st at San Marino, and the IndyCar season in March at St. Pete. I'm Aaron Cylinder, firing on all cylinders, and once again, Godspeed, Mr. Sean Connery, and a special happy birthday in heaven to John Candy.